Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, a review of the music challenge that I put out about 9 days ago now is the making of this video. So about 9 days ago, I put out a challenge that I was going to listen to one album every day, full attention, no distractions, just listening to the album. My intention was to do a follow-up video on that on exactly 1 week later. Well, life got in the way, and maybe could be the summary for this experiment for me, that life got in the way a bunch of times. And I found myself in a situation where I wasn't around my computer for a few days. When I got back home, work was backed up, and I just fell behind. So, the experiment was interesting. It was interesting for a bunch of reasons. I knew it was going to be a little bit of a challenge to find the time, to put aside the time to do this, but I thought I would be able to do it. But it did sort of turn into more of a challenge than I thought. I kind of found myself at the end of the day like, oh man, I haven't done it. I've got to go ahead and I've got to do this. And the other thing was, especially the first day that I did it, maybe a little bit on the second day, but really on the first day, I was surprised at how difficult it was for me to just clear my mind and just listen to the music. As I mentioned when I put out the challenge last week, I tend to listen to music while I'm doing other things. I'm going for a walk, I'm in my car, I'm doing things around the house or whatever. So it was sort of surprising how difficult it was for me to just focus on the music. And I found myself, like the first day I did it, I just had my phone sitting near me. I wasn't going to look at it, but it was sitting there, and it almost felt like this weird, I wanted to reach over and grab it or check it. And it was a very strange feeling. It sort of reminded me of sometimes when I leave my cell phone at home by accident and I go out somewhere, I find myself almost like anxious, like, oh man, where's my phone? And I find myself, looking for my phone, and I don't have it. I keep looking for it, but it's not there. So it was kind of the same way, like on the first day and a little bit of the second day. It took me a little while to sort of decompress and relax and to get into this proper headspace. And by the third day, I think I was there. I was able to sort of relax and able to focus on it. My weekend got really crazy, so that was kind of distracting. I wasn't able to get in the focused listening that I really wanted to, although I sort of did. I was still able to do it. So those are my general thoughts on it. I thought I would go through the albums that I did. So the first album that I listened to was Genesis Abacab. And I'm not going to go super in depth because I'm probably going to do videos on most of these albums at some point. And I listened to this because in my 5 bands that I should like but don't, Genesis was one of them. And I feel like I need to... I like this era of the band, the early, when Phil Collins first took over. So I had fun sort of listening to this and sort of prepping myself for an episode that I want to do on this album. All right, next on the next day, I listened to Never Say Die by Black Sabbath. I have a Black Sabbath podcast called Into the Void, a Black Sabbath podcast, and I was sort of prepping for that episode. So I listened to this from beginning to end. You can check out the podcast to get my in-depth thoughts, and my co-host Darren, we both go in-depth on this album. So next I did Uriah Heep, Return to Fantasy, and this was a strange experience because I was haven't listened to this in a while. I really liked the title track, and I was expecting to like it more than I did. I kind of found myself wondering, like, when is this album going to end? It was very uneven for me, and there were some things I really liked about it, other things I didn't care for. So Uriah Heep, Return to Fantasy. Yes, Fragile was the next day. I just recently found a vinyl copy of this. I had a copy of this, but my copy needed to be upgraded. It was really noisy and scratchy and stuff. So I found this copy at a local antique store, and I really enjoyed listening to it. Chris Squire is one of my favorite bass players. This to me is the band just like firing on all cylinders. It's very progressive, yet the songs are still catchy and enjoyable, and the mix is just fantastic, really dynamic. I really dug listening to this on vinyl, just turning it up. All right, then I listened to Tesla, Mechanical Resonance. I almost want to say Renaissance. I made the mistake of saying that in a video that I made of hair metal bands, bands that got labeled as hair metal that in my opinion are not, got unfairly labeled as hair metal. And I have a video on this album that's going to be coming out soon. So I gave this a listen to sort of prep for the video. And oops, I've got it upside down. It's a cool album. It's very well produced. It's got a lot of great catchy songs on it. So you'll hear more about that in the video I did for that album. Next, I listened to Love Hate Blackout in the Red Room. This is an interesting band that a lot of people don't know about. They sort of get lumped into sort of the 80s glam thing, and I understand it a little bit. It does have a little bit of a Hanoi Rocks vibe to it for me at times, but I also hear sort of some Guns N' Roses. It's a kind of a dark gem of an album for me from that sort of from the 80s stuff. So it's a fun record. Reminds me of like maybe a little bit of a glamier Guns N' Roses. All right, then then I listened to Slayer, World Painted Blood. I've been going through the Slayer catalog because I'm going to be making a video on my 10 favorite Slayer songs, and this is one of their more recent ones. Haven't listened to it in a while, and I enjoyed listening to it. I actually liked it better than I remembered. So it was a fun listen. So all right, there you go. Those were the 7 albums that I listened to in the week. Again, my observation, it was once I got into it, it was fun focusing and just listening to an album from beginning to end, because I find myself in the age of Spotify and stuff, and even when I listen to vinyl in my music room here, sometimes I'll just listen to one side and then I'll go to another album. It was cool to just kind of listen to an album from beginning to end and really just sort of take it all in. So all right, so it was a fun musical challenge. I'm sorry I didn't get back when I promised I would on Sunday. Again, maybe the theme of this whole thing is just that sometimes life gets in the way of what you want to do in our music listening. So you have to adapt. And something else I sort of learned about myself is that I need to deliberately make more time for this kind of stuff, because I find myself doing other things, endlessly looking at YouTube videos or on social media, and it made me think, I got to put my cell phone in another room, turn the computer off, just dedicate more time to listening. So, all right, so let me know in the comments. I know there's some people that have been commenting that they did this. My friend over at All the World's a Stage, Steve, he did a video on this, and he made a video on his channel talking about his experience with this. So go check out his channel, All the World's a Stage. He did the Lucifer's Friend video with me recently. He had some really interesting thoughts on this music challenge. All right, and there's going to be another music challenge coming up soon. I'm not going to give away what it is. I think it's going to be fun. This one's not really going to have a time frame on it. It'll just be sort of do it when you can do it type of thing. So, all right, there you go. Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Layer the Alchemist on Facebook and Twitch. And until we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal.